everyone, and welcome to Rebooked, the show where we talk about the men and women slapping meat in the middle of a square circle that starts the motherfucking process. I'm Golden Boy. You, of course, got Matt. You got Jake. We're all over the place right now.
I'm going to start turning on the auto captions on YouTube for when you do this intro, because I'm genuinely curious what the hell it thinks you're saying.
It will say muffled noise.
Or gibberish. Unintelligible.
Gibberish, yeah. Unintelligible is exactly what it'll say. So I'm in Korea right now. Matt's God knows where. Jake
Tampa, Florida, brother.
Tampa. Let me tell you, what an upgrade from South Korea. Am I right? Not, by the way. And then we, of course, have Jake sitting at home, having just come back from New York, and sharing with us all before we were recording that he watched Back to the Future the musical, and
goddamn,
just made me the most jealous person in the world. Greatest movie of all time, greatest musical of all time. It's going to be awesome.
Easy, boy.
Well,
I'm going to go for it. I don't care. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it with my chest. Okay, move aside, Les Miserables and Cats.
Sweet Jesus.
Okay, move aside.
Nothing makes me more Les Miserables than watching your musical.
Okay, Drama King. Okay, let's relax there for a minute. What's your favorite musical then?
I do have a soft spot for Les Mis, but God bless it. I don't know. Now you're getting me to a real.
By default, it's Back to the Future, baby.
It's Back to the
Oh man! All right, so today's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. We've been moving around a lot lately, and with so much going on. It's been absolute pandemonium, so I haven't really even been able to properly sit down and watch wrestling. So once again, I want to give a massive shout out to a friend of the pod, Simon Miller, for constantly keeping me up to date on the happenings of professional wrestling, because without him, I don't know what I would do. So we're going to talk, though, about SummerSlam and primarily focus on that. But before we do that, though, we're going to do something a little bit different. Since we're doing a shorter episode this time around, we're going to do something I like to call my one big thing, okay? Jeez. And this is...
I didn't know this was a mature podcast, dude. We don't want to hear about your one
It's my one big thing.
It's definitely an immature podcast.
What is your one big thing this week, from the last time we recorded till now, that has caught your attention? We'll go through that, and then we'll talk about SummerSlam. So who wants to go first? Who's there?
The Back to the Future music. Oh, never mind. Okay. That's not what you mean.
Go on.
I know. I'll kick it off with, we don't always talk about NXT. Kind of sticks out there on Tuesday nights and everything like that. But NXT, I think in this streak they're on has actually been pretty damn good. If you've caught any of it, of course, excellent. I have my eye and finger on the pulse with all the TNA appearances. The Rascals have been there a lot lately. We had Jordan there. But, the star of the crossover, Joe Hendry, just continued. He is like a weekly feature now on their show and our show, complete with this past week doing his concert on NXT. Anytime you get Joe Hendry music, it's always hilarious. It's always awesome. So, and combined with, I know this isn't within our story realm, but, his kind of revelation that he is pretty much pulling, full time on both. He's on NXT whenever they want him, which seems to be often. He's on our show, every week. He can do his own independent events. He can train at the PC.
And he's
got this really great opportunity.
TNA wrestler, right? Yes. Which is incredible. This is truly unprecedented. I can't recall this ever happening.
No, not to anywhere. This level.
No.
Guest appearances here and there, sure, but this regular
Performance Center access as well, apparently, which is pretty wild.
Yes, that's insane.
Yeah. It's
it's
genuinely
pretty cool.
Impressive. Yeah. No, that was a really sick one, and also the dig on Booker T,
the king of NXT
TNA.
That's what. Oh, I want a crossover title. An NXT TNA champion, and Joe just proclaims himself
Yeah.
The NXT TNA champion.
That would be sick.
That would be
actually.
pretty sick.
Like I will say,
and he just gets she just glued the two belts together or something like.
Just chop them in half, the buzzsaw, and then combine them, make it look like the old hardcore title from back in the day. He just put tape everywhere and stuff.
100%.
You know what? I will say my only. If I had to lay a slight criticism, and it's not even really a criticism because we got to see where the hell this goes as it develops, is that I feel as if I kind of want to see something big happen. You know what I mean? I kind of want to see like an NXT wrestler win a TNA title or a TNA wrestler win an NXT title. I want to see this relationship kind of go a little bit more,
one big thing.
Yeah, do one big thing, brother. Do one big thing, dude.
Like, surely this is I would love to see a joint pay-per-view, and it be like,
and I think that's where we're going. I would
like. I initially didn't, but this has blossomed into a lot more than even I thought it would be at the beginning.
Yeah. All right, Jake, what's your one big thing?
My one big thing is blood and guts.
All right, let's talk about
blood
it.
Blood and guts. Fair. Then I guess the blood. No.
Did we get
guts? Yeah, we not many guts. Well, intestinal fortitude, sure. That version of guts, absolutely. It was a wild match. It was a lot of fun. But I gotta be honest.
Yep.
Didn't like the chair shot.
Oh, the chair shot. Yeah.
Look, in that, I know. I say I know, but surely it was a gimmick chair. That's why they painted it. That's why they wrote the name on it. But still,
you could see it. I don't know. I looked
in this year of 2024, the year of our Lord. Like, guys, we gotta cool it with that shit.
Yeah, it's unnecessary.
Like, look, I as a fan of two sports that probably invented CTE, I like. I get that it's a choice that you made, but still, like, you don't have to make that choice. Like, I want to see all of you for as long as I possibly can. Like, and that just like that took me out of it so much.
Took the air out of it a little bit.
It really,
and even the reaction
really
from
did.
The crowd was a bit like, whoa, like you could tell that there was like a big moment that just happened, and people weren't sure.
I'd have rather he been lit
it.
on fire than hit in the head with the chair. Almost. I mean, at least you could put some of that gel and shit on you somehow.
There's a classic like acting thing, and it's more of a wrestling thing these days, just because movies and everything have gotten so complex that we know. But it's like the idea: I want to be worried for the character, not the human being.
Yes.
Not actually physically worried for their like. I want to be like, oh my god, they're gonna kill Jungle Boy, and I mean, not oh my god, like Jack Perry is in physical danger.
Yes,
this is uncomfortable. Kind of,
Yeah, I feel that exact same way, and like you can still. I mean, look at how Adam Copeland does his concerto. It looks like it's a chair shot to the head, but it's not. He's it's the angle of it and how it's made. So you can give the appearance that, but it's also like I don't think Triple H used a real fucking sledgehammer, and he was never going to actually swing it on somebody. It's always the butt end of
many
this
moments
thing, right?
where he did. He almost
he
did
had
it against
many
Undertaker.
Moments where he was
remember?
going to try. Yes, 100%. And Sean stopped him because that's the point. Like it. I just that's my one thing, because it was such a fun match and I really enjoyed it. Everybody had great moments, and then that just I just flatlined.
I will say, I have a different thing, but I did want to add an addendum to your blood and guts thing. It didn't. The match was fun, and I really enjoyed what they were doing. Narratively, though, didn't really like it. For the first time, I was like,
Sure.
This doesn't, like, I don't know if it was the build or how it was kind of like cobbled together week after week. And parts of it were interesting for sure. I mean, if anything, I think it just, pushed that Mark Briscoe's like a freaking superstar.
Yes.
And he's like, I think the glue of AEW right now. But it really did feel a bit anticlimactic. And I'm curious to see where they go. It's a speed bump
on the road to All In, and that's a weird place for a match as big and dangerous,
especially with
which
how
should be as high stakes as that.
With how the story was developing, right? We were kind of led to believe that we were going to this elite takeover narrative, and we kind of did. But then the Christopher Daniels stuff happened, and then the power kind of went away, and then it kind of just got all jumbled, and they still do dumb stuff, but it was like, I just really wanted to see more of that, like, elite versus AEW, like, war. I think that they needed, like, a big faction war angle to just drive interest, and I was hoping that Blood and Guts would be that, and it ended up just, it was good, it just didn't serve what I was looking for narrative. As a
standalone thing.
Fucking great.
It was fantastic. It was enjoyable.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's where I'm, because even if they're going to quit at the end of, like, I don't know, it just was an odd choice of, so you weren't concerned with 2 headshots. And then it was gasoline. Sure, I get gasoline doing it, but like even you could have done something of like, you know, if you were going to hit him in the head, that's when you were going to do it twice. Yeah. To me, the angle is like you have, you know, Matthew. He's like, well, he thinks he's bluffing. I'm calling your bullshit. No, I'm not gonna quit. And he hits him again, and then he's like, oh shit, okay, fine. I quit. Because then you have this interesting thing where, you know, maybe even Jack Perry's like, you could have quit earlier. Like you could have.
Yeah.
Why you let him hit me and then quit? Well, you should have done that and kind of maybe start to plant these seeds of dissent within the elite somehow.
Sure.
To me, the more narratively interesting thing is I thought the elite should have won.
Yeah,
kind of.
I thought they should have won too. Because those matches and this story kind of serves that angle. And even though the elite won before, it's just like I don't know. I feel a little.
I'd give the match an A- and the narrative a C.
That's probably that's a good way to put it for sure. All right. Let me see here. Oh man, I had it in my head and then I just lost it. Okay, I got it. My one big thing this week was the MJF American Championship story.
Oh yes.
I am very much enjoying this. This is very obvious. It's very clear where all this goes, but the idea of MJF playing a asshole American who is being a douche and is very much channeling the American spirit for a certain group of individuals in 2024, I actually think it was pretty clever.
He's making AEW great again.
Yeah, he truly. But the obviousness of it aside, I really do like that they're, you know, just kind of sending it with this thing. They have the, you know, American Championship that they revealed. MJF is now wearing like red, white, and blue suits and stuff. He's being an obnoxious American champion. I'm curious to see what happens in All In, because, you know, like you could have Will just cleanly win it. And reinstate the international championship at an international event for AEW. It could be pretty cool, but which is probably what's going to end up happening. But I don't know. I kind of want to see where the story goes.
Is this how you solve that problem with the titles, where it's like, okay, now the Continental Championship will kind of be, you know, AEW's version of international, and that we
it's
keep
very
the
clear.
US title a US title, or what
AEW, international, TNT. Continental. It's like that's basically how it is right now. The International is the workhorse championship of AEW. The TNT championship is, just a typical TV championship. Right? Like I think that's okay. But they got to get rid of the Continental Championship. It's got to happen eventually. Yeah. It seems like they want to go in that direction. It's either going to be Ospreay combining that with Okada, or Okada combining that with Danielson or what's his face, or Swerve Strickland. It's one or the other. That being said, though, real fast before we move on, chances of Danielson actually being done, or is this story?
I think it's pretty high. I mean, I think it could be, but I mean, like, he's been very forthright over the last, couple of years, but especially the last year that he's been with AEW, just about like, this is the way this is the way it's going to go. I am winding down, and we are getting to that year point anyway. I don't know if this is maybe just adding a little bit of drama. I thought
Okay, tell us how you really
just shit here. It's not my desk. I can kick it all I want, right?
Yeah.
No, so like my initial thought when they announced the title versus career stip was it was like telegraphing a little bit, but then again, maybe that's the swerve. No pun intended, right? Of like maybe he does.
You can't go in any direction
for some reason.
Yeah, you can go in any direction. It doesn't matter, right?
But I think the possibility of it truly being a swan song and done in front of 60, 70,000 people, whatever it's going to end up being, could be it. As far as in ring, it's that's what makes it actually good. Like I said, it feels telegraphed, but at the same time, the possibility feels real. Like if you would have done a career versus title match 10 years ago, it would have been like,
I wouldn't believe you.
He's not. There's no way they're done, right?
Yeah.
But here it's very feasible. So it does add a little bit of that drama.
Yeah.
Is there any chance that he wins it and drops it the next night? Or not the next night, but
there's always
Dynamite later in the week. Sure.
You know what I mean?
I actually wouldn't be mad about that. That
it depends on how.
In a while.
Depends on how and to whom.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
And also, like, if they were to
because then if you do a number one contender thing, or you do some like that's how you get Hangman and Swerve back at each other's throats.
Yeah.
That's one way you could do that. I don't know.
That's true. Yeah. Well, those are our big things for the week. Why don't you go ahead and let us know what were yours? What were some of the things that stood out to you? It could be anything across all of pro wrestling. Feel free to share in the comment section down below. We'd love to hear from you. So we are going to be talking about SummerSlam, better known as Hot WrestleMania, Muggy Mania, the Swamp Ass Rumble. It's going to be I should know a little bit about that, being in Korea right now. It's hot as shit out here. And we got a lot of great matches on the card.
Hot as hell in the cell. That's
hot as hell in the cell. So let's go ahead and start with our first match here, U.S. Championship. We got Logan Paul versus L.A. Knight. Look, straightforward. LA Knight should just win this. I think
100%.
I think he should win this, and Paul should just lose in disgrace. Honestly, he hasn't really done anything with that title, and also he's just a disgraceful person as a whole. So I'm okay if he just gets a BFT in the middle of the ring in 15 seconds, and we call it a wrap because Logan Paul sucks ass. So that's about it. But also there's not much of a narrative heading into this. But I do think the United States Championship will be better served on the shoulders of LA Knight.
It's time. It's just time.
Yeah.
We're overdue for that title change, but it just feels right. Like we've been waiting for some sort of goal to be put on LA Knight, or for him to have some kind of accomplishment that warrants calling himself, the megastar.
Yeah.
And finally, if he can at SummerSlam, one of the big four, can take the title off of the, internationally known Logan Paul, like that's that's a big feather in his cap, and I think it's time, and I think he deserves it.
Yeah.
Hey, LA Knight and Jey Uso are the two biggest when are we doing it?
Yeah,
they're the uncrowned kings.
Company.
It's a tease.
They're the
We've
uncrowned
been teased.
kings of WWE.
Yes.
But I think this is LA Knight's moment, though.
Yeah, it has to be. Otherwise, what the hell was this whole thing for?
If Logan Paul here?
Yes.
If Logan Paul just cheats again and then wins again, it's like, what is the reasoning behind that? Because even in the build, I mean, Logan Paul actually has been kind of shit. I'll be real. And outside of the fact that, I'm not particularly a big fan of the guy for many, many reasons. He has not contributed anything to this feud. It has been purely all LA Knight.
He's carried the whole thing.
He's carried the entire thing. Even the promo that they had in the middle of the ring was Logan Paul just trying to be meta and all this stuff. And it just doesn't freaking work. And you could tell, I like Logan Paul's in-ring action. He's quite talented, even though it is funny. They did a side-by-side of him and Hangman, and he apparently just copies all of Hangman's moves, which I think is fucking hilarious. But also very apropos for a guy who's made his entire career off of making shitty content on YouTube. So I guess it all kind of tracks. But I just don't really see the benefit of him retaining past this event. This is your hot WrestleMania. Have a big thing. Have a big moment. Give the belt to LA Knight. Okay, moving on. Let's go to a matchup that actually has had an incredible story build and has been very exciting. The Intercontinental Championship matchup between Sami Zayn and motherfucking the badass Bron Breakker. Oh, dude, I'm so excited for this matchup. How are we feeling, Matt? Where do you think the cookie crumbles on this one?
I mean, so I want to say here, too, Bron, I don't think is overdue or anything. Obviously, he's still very new to the main roster and everything. But we thought it was going to be back at Money in the Bank that they were just going to go ahead and pull that trigger. They didn't, which actually ended up being kind of cool. So initially, I want to say, okay, they held off, they built it more, and now we're going to get it here. Is my initial gut instinct is pull that trigger on Bron, you make him a big bad heel on Mondays. But I mean, I also feel like this has built, but there's a little more sizzle that could be added. I feel like Bron is still feeling very even though he lost at Money in the Bank, is still feeling very cocky. Mm-hmm. Despite that, so I feel like Sami beating him again, but this is SummerSlam. It's kind of one of those big events, but I feel like Sami beating him again, especially if maybe we're going to get a couple other title changes at SummerSlam, maybe this one stays, and now Braun is seeing red. And the next pay-per-view or something like that, maybe he finally they have a stipulation match and he barrels Sami through the stage or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
My gut still says pull the trigger here this weekend, but I could see it where maybe they try to get one more event out of it.
Man, I'm so conflicted on this match because we talked about it before, but Sami made that great point of I'm not the underdog anymore. I've proven myself, and he has, but so I can't decide. Are we going to see Sami go on not a Gunther-esque run, a half Gunther. If he's gonna, maybe a half Gunther.
Just a long ass reign.
Is he gonna have a long reign with it? Because quite frankly, that's something that Sami Zayn has deserved and is long overdue, in my opinion.
But he has had a decent reign, though.
He has had a decent reign. He's had great wins. He had that huge win at Mania over Gunther, who is probably, I would say, about to be our new World Heavyweight Champion. We'll discuss that later, obviously.
That a little bit.
But yeah, I don't know, because I don't necessarily know what happens with Braun next, but also the IC title picture feels, I don't want to say crowded, but I just feel like there's so many directions that they can go with it. I feel like there's still a lot of people who are in the mix who can be thrown in and have some great stories, quite honestly, with either one of these guys. But when you think about it, we just had a massive reign with the IC title on a heel. Is that something that they want to? Do they want to go right back to that title being on a heel as well? Because, like, honestly, there is a chance that coming out of SummerSlam, that aside from Cody, there's maybe one face champion in LA Knight. Because I can see Liv Morgan retaining. I know I'm getting ahead of myself on a lot of this stuff, but like.
It could be a heel heavy show, though.
It could be a very heel heavy
very realistically.
Yeah,
it could, and that I think is something you said.
There's nothing wrong with that either, but
and something you said that really stands out to me is like the IC title picture's crowded, but that's not a bad thing. It's got a lot of great stories. No, I know you didn't say it's not a bad thing.
There's a buffet of opponents and storylines.
A buffet. Yes. Ooh, yes. Ooh, piece of candy.
Give me a little Chad Gable. Ooh, a little Jey Uso. It's so good. It's nutritious.
But that actually does kind of lead to where I think we could go if Braun Breaker were to win.
Ilya Dragunov.
And you got Ilya Dragunov. You also have Big Bronson Reed.
I think you can have Sheamus. I think you can have Butch. There's
Pete Dunne.
Oh God. Yeah, Pete Dunne.
Yeah, you said Butch.
That left a bad taste in my mouth after I said it.
Yeah,
Pete, I apologize. I am so sorry, Pete. Pete Dunne.
Yeah.
I'm going to call you by your full name all the time now, Pete Dunne. I'm not even going to say him when I refer to you.
Yeah,
Pete
you'll
Dunne.
just always say Pete Dunne. It's a great way to just say the full name, though. It's quick, straight to the point.
Yeah, Pete Dunne.
But yeah, IC title picture looks really interesting. You have a lot of potential opportunities there. And I think that it could behoove WWE to have a heel, a mid-card champion and a face mid-card champion on each show. Because you create different
dynamics,
dynamics, right. So you on Raw, if Braun Breaker wins, especially if he's doing like the whole, badass, like I'm gonna beat everyone up even though I'm a bad guy type of thing, right? Which I love for him. Even if you were to go that direction, you can have a lot of people who are like trying to challenge him. Braun could be an asshole. He could like try and keep himself away from things like that. And then you continue to like over push Braun Breaker. You don't overdo it, because I do think that they've been having him go out there week after week, putting on banger match after banger match. It's okay if he wins the belt and kind of cools down a little bit, cuts a few promos, and then we get to see bigger matches at pay-per-views and stuff, and then allows a new storyline to develop. And then on the U.S. title side, I mean, look, LA Knight is a guy with a lot of bravado, and he's very much trying to establish himself as a superstar. What's the best way to establish yourself as a top guy with a belt? The U.S. Open Challenge, as has been done by Seth Rollins, as has been done by not Sami Zayn,
Jonathan Cena.
Yeah, that's the Jonathan Cena. I wish that was his name. Jonathan Cena. That would sound so weird.
It would.
But yeah. So I think that that could be very interesting. So let's go ahead and move on and talk about some more championships, because we got a lot of championship matches on the card. Pretty much every single belt outside of the women's tag team championship is being defended.
Men's tag title?
No tag title.
No tag title.
On both shows.
Yeah.
No
Although
tag titles.
I think it's DIY.
Bloodline.
We're releasing some DIY Bloodline. I think it's
yes, that's right. That will be on the show. It might be on the kickoff or whatever, but I don't know.
Oh, is it on kickoff?
I think that's a kickoff. But, well, if we do want to just talk about that one real quick, we don't have to go too far into it, but I do think DIY should retain, and then you continue a little bit of a... You give him a story with Bloodline, because I actually wouldn't mind if... Because we got a lot of pay-per-views from here to Survivor Series, right? So I wouldn't mind if you get some more...
DIY on, like, Team WWE or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I can 100%
route.
Especially with their experience in War Games
matches?
matches before.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They were the first ones in NXT to do the War Games matchup.
I think so.
I could be wrong, but I believe they were. So in any case, they've been in a million of those things. So and they're always good at them. So maybe that's a direction that you go. But let's go ahead and move on, though. We have our WWE Women's Championship matchup. You got Bayley facing off against Nia Jax. This has been a fun story, all things considered. Bayley has kind of been floundering a little bit with the title because she's needed a muse. She's needed someone to kind of like play off of. And Nia Jax is perfect. But does Nia Jax win?
I don't know. I think she does.
I think she does.
You think she does? Well, here's my question.
It also, is it
with the help of Tiffany Stratton?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I think there's going to be something really fun with Nia and Tiffany. But what happens with Bayley in that whole shuffle? Because she's still one of the most popular stars on the show. So, and has a great character as well. So, I don't know. Matt, what do you think?
So, a lot of what I think is because, yes, I think maybe Bayley hasn't rocked the world in the last few months in her title reign. Like, fine, but it's just nothing of headline grabbing. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah.
And
we barely talk about her on this show.
Yeah, and we talk about people who have kind of uncrowned or whatever, like Nia, who I'll admit, a couple of years back was not a huge fan of. Since she's returned in her most recent run of the company, I think has been very, very good in her role.
Yes,
and agreed. I think this could be a time. And it also plays a little bit to how I think the other women's title match is going to go, because I think that one's staying right where it is. And so I think this would be, on the other side of the coin, I think we could have a title change here. So,
okay.
I just think it's Nia's been doing great work. Bayley's kind of been so-so with it. And I think unless this is where Tiffy chooses to hedge her bets and does something to cause like both of them to kerfuffle and then like cash in on Bayley right there and skate before Nia can recover, kind of thing. You could see some shenanigans there.
Yeah, that would be really fun and very different.
But I do feel like they'll pull that out a little bit with Tiffany.
I think so too.
What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Tiffany's for sure going to be involved in some way. But yeah, I don't know. I could definitely see her turning on Nia and trying to steal the title, or maybe she turns on Nia to try to steal the title but can't take advantage. Bayley takes her out and Bayley gets the pin on Nia because she hit her with the briefcase kind of thing. And then you kind of have some more stuff between the three of them.
Or does Bayley, a little bit of fantasy booking almost, very briefly, does Bayley, to kind of give her a big win, does Bayley squeak out a win over Nia, and Tiffany attacks her post-match like as if she's like defending Nia, but then realizes, oh crap, does it, wins the title, and then has kind of Nia being like, this wasn't part of the plan. Like,
what the hell, bro?
What the hell is this? And then you kind of have them with this weird tense relationship, and Bayley can still be chasing Tiffany, but then now Nia's kind of like, you weren't supposed to do that, so now give me a title shot because I've been helping you, or something like that weird kind of relation. Could be a weird, interesting three-way relationship. And
I would be shocked if we are not at the end of the year and Nia Jax is not the world champion. I actually think she will win the belt. It just makes a lot of sense. But where that goes, whether it's here at SummerSlam, whether it's like Tiffany, bungling the cash in, or whether Tiffany successfully cashing in and then Nia, chasing, or Bayley maybe causing an issue. I can also see a triple threat potentially down the line could be quite fascinating too, which would be very fun, especially if Tiffany Stratton is a champion there, because then you kind of end up with a situation similar to like Brock Lesnar, Seth Rollins, and John Cena at the Royal Rumble, which is one of my favorite matches like ever from those three guys.
Well,
and
sorry, I'm sorry. I
go
almost
for it.
interrupted.
No. I was just going to say, like, you have the big man, you have the established star, and then you have the young upstart, right? And that whole narrative works very, very well with these three women as it currently stands. What were you going to say, Jake?
Well, I was just going to say one thing I think we've overlooked is how this can also set up, this match alone can also set up the start of a women's War Games match.
Oh, very true.
Because we've also seen Naomi, who's been very pro Bayley and buddy with Bayley. Can she come out and somehow get involved? And then, that's also the start. Mishin as well.
Yeah.
And then the new faction with Sonya Deville, I can see.
Oh, I love that.
All of them coming together some way to kick off War Games for the women.
Yeah. As a quick aside, the Sonya Deville faction, which I don't know if they have a name yet.
I don't think they do.
That is going to be I hope they don't fuck it up. I really just want them to just push forward with it. Give Shayna Baszler something.
I have wanted Shayna Baszler to be the monster that she was in NXT for so long.
We are
just
Shayna stands on
loose.
this podcast.
Yes.
So we just want to see
her
Shayna
be the female Braun Breaker. Do with her.
Let her have
what
a
you're
moment,
doing with
damn
Braun
it.
Breaker.
Yeah. Or even Zoe Stark. Fuck, I'll take anyone.
Yes,
at this point.
I'll take it. Yes.
I just like that team, and I like that they put the three of
too.
them together, and I also like that they're approaching it not like, we're like bad girls, and we're gonna do bad things, kind of like the way Damage Control was. No, instead these people are like, no, we're gonna show up to the ring, we're gonna fuck you up,
we're going to hurt you,
and we're gonna hurt you, and then we're gonna go back, and then we're gonna hurt more people, and we're gonna keep going until we get what we want. And that's good shit. That's good shit. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our other women's matchup. Whoo, doggy. Liv Morgan.
This is the main event.
This is the main event. This is the main event. I mean, this is it. For me, it's Gunther and Damian Priest definitely up there, but I don't think any build has been as entertaining as this. And I understand people are going to be like, what about CM Punk and Drew McIntyre? No. Liv and Rhea have delivered
different
week.
kind of,
just a different kind of delivery,
and it has bled into other storylines. There are other implications.
It's been well constructed.
Yes,
dude, it's dramatic. It's funny. It's it hits every level. It's a fully realized. Lots of different levels instead of just I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, which is what Drew and Punk are doing very well. But it's kind of that note. This is scaling all the notes.
Because you have no idea where any of this is going to land, right? There's a world where Rhea Ripley just squashes Liv in the ring and gets her belt back within seconds. There's a world where Dominic Mysterio causes a problem and, for Liv and she loses. Or the inverse, Dominic Mysterio causes a problem for Rhea Ripley and then Liv wins. You also have the possibility of Liv winning clean in the middle of the ring. Go.
Finn Balor possibly being involved in some capacity. I mean, there are so many options. I feel like we are about to get the answers to so many questions that are also just going to raise more questions. And make the Monday after just be a blast.
And I'm gonna start off with, we're talking with predictions. I said it before. That belt ain't leaving Liv Morgan's waist. Mommy's getting her heart broken at SummerSlam.
And in more way than one. Yes.
And you wanna, because here's the other thing too. One, she just got back. This chase will be really good. And two, she's already a big baby face. People love her, but you want to solidify as that heart baby face. She needs to get a little
have
knife
some
in
adversity.
the back.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And now everyone, even though everyone already was, now there's even casuals, all the people, everybody is now, she has this sympathy in addition to being the badass that she is. I think she gets her heart broken. I don't know if it's Dom or Finn or somebody. I think it's Dom, but
it's got to be
Dom. Be good. I'm very excited.
It's got to be Dom in some capacity.
I smell a rat. And I don't know if it's Dom. I don't know if it's
you were
Finn.
just in New York,
I could see it being fair.
How dare you?
See it.
Okay.
I live in the rattiest city in the country. Don't worry.
Yeah, man, you're from freaking Chicago.
We're bad.
Well, I didn't go to that dump Brooklyn, so don't worry about
What the hell, man? I'm here. Even though I'm born and raised in the Bronx, Brooklyn's the second home to me. How could you?
Yeah.
Oh, my word. No, but I agree. I do smell a rat. I do think that there's going to be some awesome shenanigans. Oh, I'm so excited for this match.
I can't wait. I think it's
excited.
I think it's got to be co-main event. Like, honestly, it's been that good of a build and that good of a story. Yeah. Oh man,
it could close the show.
It could close the show.
I don't
Very
think it
well
will.
could close it.
I don't think it will because it's going to be so dramatic and all. It's going to be a better play.
Should close the show.
But think about this too, and maybe this is either that or Priest and Gunther should close, because quite honestly, the outcome of those two matches, one could affect the other in some capacity.
And hot take.
Woo.
This could be
I got
the
chills,
end
man.
of the Judgment Day.
Yeah,
it could all go down.
The Judgment Day
until it is
fall
rebuilt
apart.
by Carlito and R-Truth. That is what's good. That is all I want.
That's the tag team I never knew I wanted until you just said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm totally down.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right.
cool.
Well, we'll see what happens with that. I mean, I think it should. We think it should be the main event, but obviously it's not, because they have three other matches that could very well be the main event. And I think this also goes to show, and again, give the flowers to WWE, an excellent build for this SummerSlam. They did a brilliant job across the board with all the matches that they have lined up. Everything outside of, again, like the US title matchup has like.
I was
stakes.
excited before. I was excited for SummerSlam before, but buddy, I'm hyped now.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I'm stoked.
Woo.
I'm so excited. I just got to figure out how to watch it in Korea. So we'll see what happens. All right, so I want to save our championship matches for the last, because I feel like that has a little bit more stakes in it. Our only non-title match on the card is CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, with Seth freaking Rollins as the special guest referee. This has been a story that has been in development like a year, honestly, at this point. CM Punk comes back to WWE. Everyone does like him
a year,
for very obvious
that
reasons.
It was Survivor Series last year.
Yeah, exactly.
So almost a year.
Drew McIntyre has been poking that bear for God knows how long. Even when he was in his world title feud with Seth Rollins, he was still poking the bear of CM Punk. It led to CM Punk costing Drew his title multiple times at WrestleMania, in front of his home crowd at Clash of the Castle. This is as much of a blood feud as blood feuds can possibly be. And there probably will be some blood, if we're being honest. I'd be shocked if we don't get a little bit of blood. Yeah. Where does this go, though, now that Seth Rollins is the special guest referee? Because he has no stake in either person winning. So,
no, but that's kind of what makes it interesting. I mean, he has a stake in both of them losing as well. I mean, and honestly, like the rules there really aren't rules. It's at
whatever Seth wants to allow.
It's at the discretion of Seth. Which to me means he'd be a great referee in AEW, but I think that there's so many different.
He's got a career in front of him,
He really does. Yeah, he's got a life after in-ring action. But I don't know. I think that's what makes it interesting, though. Is I think I can really see the match being prolonged, where he just lets these two beat the shit out of each other. Because he hates both of them, and it's I'm going to stop the 2 count. Looked like his shoulder was a little bit off the ground to me. And just let them take each other out. I can 100% see that.
So I feel like, because he could just, but then if he just lets them do whatever they want, then why do you have a special guest referee? So I feel like there needs to be some justifications in there. And he has no love lost for either one.
Right.
So if you have situations where it's my attempt, from a character perspective, his attempt is, I'm going to call this one down the middle between you maniacs, that going into it. Then Drew bumps into him, and now all of a sudden Drew's going to do this, and he holds his hand back, and now he's being a dick, a bit more of a dick to Drew. He's slow counting or whatever. But then the same thing happens with Punk. Punk does something elbows him or like or pushes him out of the way, and now he gets on Punk's ass, and then kind of is like lets him have it, sort of thing. So give me a little bit of impetus there, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't
Who
know.
wins?
Something just tells me that Seth. Oh well,
Drew
that's a tough question.
Has to win. Has to 100% win. I said this. We were going to maybe put out predictions earlier. I think so. He has been the victim, in essence, for at major moments throughout this feud. Punk has cost him the title on 2 major stages now. 3 maybe even, I don't know, but at least twice. And so I think Drew has to win. But if the guy who's supposed to be our bad guy just comes in and whoops his ass and wins, that's not a good versus evil story or anything. It's not. I don't think it's a very clean tale. I think he's got to win, but I think he's going to have to go lower and do something shittier than he would expect. I think he thinks he's going to whoop Punk's ass. I think Punk needs to be a bigger threat to him than he realized. He's tougher or whatever it is, and it's like, oh, he's got to kick him in the nuts. He's got to take a real shitty way to win. But I think he needs to get the win so he can start talking about how I embarrassed him, I beat him. But then Punk has a reason to keep coming after his ass and get to a real blood feud blow-off match of some type as we progress. Because this ain't done here.
I was going to say, this isn't done.
This is the start.
Yeah, this has
They've been going at it, but this is the first match of theirs. So,
because there's no way this just ends in a regular singles match.
Yeah.
There's no way that how this ends.
Especially with Seth Rollins involved.
And that's my thing. Out. That's I feel like Seth is I don't know. To me, the way his character's been, I see him refereeing this like you're setting up a Super Smash match where it's just like, okay, you know what? No hammers, no home run bats. Sure, we'll have flowers, no health power ups. No, like I just see him doing that. I being like, I'm gonna turn it up to 200 HP and like all this kind of like that's for some reason how I see Seth refereeing this match. But I think you're 100% right. I think if Drew doesn't win, there's really nowhere else for the story to go, and it makes Drew look worse. Because
I just want to say this real fast, and we'll move forward. I actually think if CM Punk were to win, it's not bad. It's how he wins that matters.
Yeah, you could do it.
Because if you want to continue to push his narrative, the CM Punk is just continuing to take everything away from Drew McIntyre, and is like his worst nightmare as far as like his career goes. And on top of that, he's coming into this with a very cocky attitude because he does view CM Punk as a frail guy who, might get injured in the match anyway. So he's like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to do whatever I can. And then, Punk catches him off guard. You can also go the opposite route where, because we had talked about this a few weeks prior, Punk has very much been the bad guy in this feud quite a few times. And maybe you lean on that a bit more. I happen to enjoy CM Punk as a bad guy. I think it fits his personality a lot more. So
I like him being a bad guy, but not thinking he's a bad guy, which is exactly what he's doing now.
Which should be every bad guy, technically.
Well, true. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But he ain't going to be wrestling like a baby face. We're not seeing, what I mean, fire up John Cena.
Right.
No, he's going to fight down and dirty like a heel, if you will.
But at the end of the day, Drew and Punk can beat the hell out of each other all they want. But the fact of the matter is, they're not the ones counting to 3.
Yeah.
So I just don't know. I just think it comes down to
it's a crapshoot.
The person who wins is the one that Seth hates the least. I don't know. And I think that's Drew. I think that's Drew.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see how that works out. Let us know in the comments what you think about that match, because that one is a coin flip, genuinely, and that is what makes it very exciting. Okay, well, we'll move on to our last 2 matches of the card. I'm going to do something a little controversial, okay? I'm going to do Cody and Solo first, because...
I don't think that's controversial at all.
Okay, it's fine. It's just
Cody Rhodes ain't losing that title.
I don't like how they've been doing the WWE Championship in some of these events. Like I wholeheartedly disagreed with the WWE Championship closing out Clash of the Castle. I thought that was just no. I don't know why they did that. Yeah. I am not a fan. I mean, hell, even at Crown Jewel or not Crown Jewel, excuse me, King of the Ring, King and Queen of the Ring. I didn't like that they ended with the WWE Championship there either. It just was weird. I understand it's the big belt, but it's like, is anyone really going into this thinking Solo's going to win? Like no. Like no,
Solo.
Like there's just no way. I mean, there's going to be shenanigans, there's going to be things, but it's going to be Cody overcoming the odds. But it's what happens at the end of the match that maybe makes it worthy of being the final match for the SummerSlam card. Does Roman come back? Because that is the most appealing part about this story. Funny enough, it's not the match; it's whether or not Roman Reigns returns to reclaim his spot in the Bloodline. Matt, what do you think?
I do not think that will happen. It is SummerSlam. I just feel like we're going to wait for that. I do. I feel like that's going to lead into a build-up to Survivor Series is where I really think I think we have to get old Bloodline members with friends versus new Bloodline. I really think that's where we're going. So I think we've got it. And we still have 3.5 months until Survivor Series.
At least one more pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think maybe, he comes back on a TV. I know that sounds bad, but maybe they can build it up or it's going to be a huge deal. I don't think it's this early. Let's put it that way. I just don't think that happens. I think Cody retains. I think we get shenanigans with the Bloodline. Randy shows up. KO shows up. Chaos, but Cody 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Obviously, like you said, the position on the card is going to telegraph what happens to a degree, because I think that Priest and Gunther should probably be the main event. Personally, well, I mean, no, Liv and Rhea should be, but
Liv and Rhea should be, but
yeah. But I can see this opening the show, quite honestly. But if it doesn't, like, that can say a lot, because I would love either at the end of the match or at some point of the match, we just hear, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman."
That actually would be really sick. Rather than the music hits, it's him doing the thing, because Paul's been off TV for such a long time.
Right. And there's not been a mention of him. There's not nothing, So I think that would be cool. But yeah, the prediction here is not about who wins. The prediction is about how and who do we see. Because
what happens
we could easily see a new Bloodline member, but it's like at some point you got to stop adding members to the Bloodline, and something's got to happen. I get like we saw the family tree. We saw a picture of it. We don't need to see all of the family. So it doesn't need to be a fucking family reunion on every pay-per-view and every SmackDown. So something needs to happen. Something needs to happen. Something needs to happen.
Something needs to happen
because it feels like Cody is in a holding pattern.
Yeah. Which it has been we kind of saw this one coming after post WrestleMania. It's like, where do you go with one of the greatest storylines ever concocted for a WrestleMania build, right? It's a tough one. The fact that Cody, to his credit, has been able to continue to maintain the prestige as well as the excitement of the WWE Championship, and I gotta say, like, the way that WWE has also presented Cody, I don't know if you noticed, but he's very much doing the same type of shtick that Roman did when he was champion. Right, the stretched out openings, him entrances that are like taking super long. Motherfucker's got two sets of pyro that goes off, one at the beginning and then one when he gets to the ring. So he like just freaking expresses himself 2 times. It's like a little wild. The presentation, the build, everything, they've done such a brilliant job of making Cody feel like such a big deal, and every single time he comes out, you get that aura and energy from him. But the matches have not contributed to that same aura. That being said, bro, if Solo wins,
I hope you put money on it, because the odds on that one are going to be...
I mean, I don't know. I might, dude. I might just see what happens.
Throw $10 down.
Yeah, right, make 100.
If he does, I think we're for sure seeing Roman come out.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. It's got to be that. It's weird, but man, that'll be a wacky one. All right, well, moving on to the last match we're going to talk about. Not necessarily the main event, because we don't know what's really going to be the main event. We have an assumption based off of the graphics that they've been pushing out and stuff like that Cody and Solo will be the main event. But this has been a matchup with a very, very fun build, and I did not see it coming. And of course, we're talking about Gunther versus Damian Priest for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, or just the World Heavyweight Championship. This has been an interesting one, because going into the Seth-Damian matchup, we were all convinced that Seth was going to win, because the bigger bet, the money, is on Seth versus Gunther. That was our preconceived notion. Damian wins. And then we start to see this manifest itself in a very unique way. Gunther starts getting on the mic a bit more. He starts calling people trash and gutter trash, or whatever his words were. Damian Priest is now kind of like, slowly but surely becoming like the face of the people. It's very... I did not see this coming. But I am very pleased with it. That being said, is this the coronation of the King General? Does Gunther walk away as the World Heavyweight Champion? I actually think he does. And I love Damian Priest. I'm a big fan of his, but I think Gunther does.
I think so too. I think this is the moment, because I don't know where you go with Gunther after this, with that as well. And I'll be honest, when we knew this match was going to happen after Priest beat Seth, and then Gunther, of course, King of the Ring. And remember, initially we were like, there's not much steam, and then they had that first promo, and it was like, okay, they got to cook a little bit, and then it picked up. But maybe it's only been, because they had the promo, then the next week they beat the crap out of each other, and then there was this past week, I think. Is that it? It's only been 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This week, they kind of lost me a little bit. I feel like it really dropped off a hill a little bit. They just fought a little bit more and didn't do anything else. It was so I kind of lost a little enthusiasm for it.
You can. Will this be the first, or is this the only? Right? Is this the first match between these two, or is this the only match between these two? Because I feel like Gunther's character is very dependent on him holding gold. Without him being successful, it's kind of
his whole aura, right?
It's his whole shtick.
I'm the guy who wins. I'm the guy who's successful. The pure wrestler who wins championships forever.
I do think he cheats. I think Gunther does cheat. If he wins, I think we could see Ludwig Kaiser come back and maybe get involved.
You just stole my fantasy booking.
Oh, no. Sorry, what do you got, Jake?
Because I was just thinking, I was like, look, if your co-main events are Damian Priest, let's say we end the show, your main event, Damian Priest versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. But your match just before, it's co-main event, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. Liv wins, and chaos ensues for Judgment Day in particular. It seems like everything is imploding. Whether it be Dom, whether it be Finn, whether it be a combination of the two, something. But now this is all on the mind of Damian Priest, and he's trying to keep it out of his head in some capacity. But all Gunther keeps saying is, "Guess what, motherfucker? You're alone now. It is just you and me." And I know that you say that it was just going to be you and me, but now you are alone. And just like you said, where the hell has Ludwig Kaiser been? And he comes out, and there is no one from Judgment Day that can somehow help because it's all gone to hell.
Yeah.
And Gunther walks out of SummerSlam holding gold. I think it could be so much fun. Like I said, I think that match in some way, whether indirectly or directly, plays a part in this one. But yeah, I think Gunther comes out winning, and I think this can actually help establish Priest as more of a babyface. I think it can gain him some sympathy, and help build him even more. So yeah, I'm going to go with Gunther. I think it's going to be a hell of a story. It's going to be a hell of a match. These two are going to murder each other. Thank God Damian wears some kind of chest cover, because Gunther is going to cave his chest in with the back of his hand.
He's going to make his
just
thing look
like he
a
does
tomato.
everybody else. Yeah, because look, Gunther's also picked apart every member of Judgment Day anyway. He just beat the shit out of Finn Balor. Good Lord. It's going to be so much fun.
Weird thing. This is because, I was thinking about that Finn Balor match.
Mm-hmm.
How crazy would it be if Finn and JD McDonough turn on Damian Priest and align himself with Gunther?
With all that chaos that Jake's talking about, yeah.
And they're both European guys, right? So it does work, the whole Imperium gimmick that they have worked around with. Gunther always shines when he's got a stable that's built around him. And he always looks like a star. I do think, though, it would kind of suck only because it's like, Finn Balor's so damn good to just see him continue to play, supporting cast for someone when he should be fighting for world championships, even though, he just got kind of squashed by Gunther. I don't know.
Because they're holding tag team gold right now. And boy, if you did a whole 180 switch of where, it was
the tag titles and the world title
have left Judgment Day and are now part of a new Imperium. Oh, yeah.
And Ludwig Kaiser coming back into the mid card.
Love it.
Could potentially put him at odds with Bron Breakker. So if you don't want to go full bad guy with Bron, you can have Bron kind of act as a little bit of a tweener babyface, and then Ludwig Kaiser, we've seen how vicious he can be. So I don't know. That's exciting. Matt, what about you? Anything you want to add?
No, I'm with Jake and I'm with you guys. I think it is a coronation, but I think all the Judgment Day chaos that can and undoubtedly will take place, I think can and should play a huge role in this matchup.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be so sick. SummerSlam is going to be great. An excellent show with a really good build. Every match has, some kind of weight to it, and there should be some title changes, but I think that's going to, as we had talked about, be in the lower parts of the card rather than in the upper parts of the card, outside of, Gunther, which would be, boy, that would be exciting. SummerSlam this weekend, it's going to be freaking awesome. So make sure you tune into that. Super fun show. We'll make sure we do our post-show thoughts. I think also I might even try and do some social stuff and just like react, on do some TikTok videos or something like that, just so we can get out there faster and talk about it, because there are going to be some big storyline implications coming out of SummerSlam. And because it's one of the big four, so something massive is going to happen.
It's going to be a spectacle.
It's going to be a spectacle, and it's going to be awesome. That being said, that's our SummerSlam coverage. But before we close things out, as always, we are going to do the Rebooked 24/7 Champion of the Week, where we determine who is the person, place, or thing that has impressed us the most this week that we can anoint with our fake JPEG championship with Jake's face on it. So
that's right.
Let's go ahead. I actually haven't really thought of a 24/7 champion.
I didn't either before the episode, but
I've got one, and I'll start it off.
Go for it, Jake.
Mine is Okada.
Okay.
And the reason that it's Okada is because I didn't know how going into Blood and Guts, what he was going to do, because this is not any kind of match that he's been involved in. It's really not his thing at all. So I was wondering the part that he was going to play in it, and I think he played his part beautifully. It was actually like very comedic. The whole turnaround and giving the finger to Swerve and only to have him staple it, I thought was really funny. I thought it was great. And I thought he had a moment where it was a headshot with the chair, but he got his hands up, So he still did some stuff. He took bumps on tacks and that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed how they handled him in the match and the stuff that he did. I thought it was actually very funny. So given how we didn't really know how he was going to fit into Blood and Guts, I actually enjoyed it. For that, I am giving him the more prestigious title of the Rebooked Champion of the Week.
That is true.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
That is true.
Oh,
Much higher regard than...
Yeah, that time he had a more prestigious title on him. It's the Rebooked 24/7 champion.
Yes.
So Jake, you're going for Okada for his Blood and Guts match. Matt, what you got?
Like you, GB, like I hadn't really had one going into the episode. So as we were doing this, I was kind of in the back of my mind thinking of possible contenders. And this week, given some of the things we've all been through, and I have decided, I think, the very namesake of our title, a man who got to see the quote-unquote greatest musical of all time, Jake Bennett, should win the 24/7 title for getting to witness Back to the Future, the musical.
And Matt says it's the best musical of all time.
Quote unquote.
Right.
Quote,
You heard it here.
You can't quote and unquote me.
Yeah. Write an article about that, Sportskeeda. Drama King Matt Rayclaw proclaims Back to the Future the greatest musical of all time.
Oh, man. Okay, so I have mine. It's equally as ridiculous.
How
I
dare you?
I would like to give my Rebooked 24/7 title nomination to the guy who brought me an Ethernet cable so I could do the damn podcast today, because the internet, the Wi-Fi and this hotel was struggling. And, it's 2024, and you would think that a lot of hotels would provide Ethernet cable slots because it's kind of basic and very obvious to do. But no, that'd be too practical for anyone. So instead, they put this shit here, and then it doesn't work. Which is always the funniest thing. You ever go to a hotel and you see all the cable slots on the side of the room there, and you're like, oh man, I could just connect the HDMI. And no, you can't do that because it's broken shit. So that is basically the plight of traveling and working and on the road. Yep. It's a very specific one that not a lot of people can relate to, but let me tell you, you get an Ethernet cable, it changes your life. So that's mine. Who do we want to give it to? I say we give it to Jake. I think we...
I mean...
Or Okada. Jake or Okada.
I humbly accept. I mean...
But
I will share
humble acceptance I've ever seen.
However, I will share this title with the cast of the musical, who was
kind soul.
How generous!
Like, seriously, they were so very good. The guy playing Marty sounded like Marty. He did a great Marty voice. The guy playing George McFly was phenomenal. Lorraine was phenomenal. The whole cast. Goldie Wilson was one of the highlights. The guy who played Goldie Wilson was a highlight of the whole thing. Yeah. Biff looks and sounds like Biff. He was also fantastic. He has a great number in the second act. Beautiful. But
I love that scene where he's like, I'm going to make something of myself. It's so good. Freaking Goldie Wilson, man.
Yeah. Mayor.
Yeah, right?
Anyway.
You ain't gonna be mayor. Watch me. Oh, man. Well, yeah, there you have it, folks. We're trying to keep things a little bit more tighter this week just because with so much going on and us moving and being on the road so much, it's been absolutely pandemonium.
I love how you said this episode is going to be a little bit shorter this week, and technically it is.
Technically,
we're still at an hour.
Yeah. But yeah, folks, let us know down in the comment section what is your Rebooked 24/7 champion of the week, and for your question of the day, I think it should be: does Roman Reigns come back at SummerSlam? Sound off in the comment section down below if you made it this far. We would love to hear from you. Give us your theories. Give us your thoughts. And then, hey, you know what? I'm curious to see if anyone predicts correctly. And if they do so in the comment section, we'll talk about it next week on the show. I'm going to also
pose. I'm going to pose another question of the day for you to put in the comments. I want you to also give me the title of your wrestling musical, much like we saw with Matt.
So good.
Give us another title for a wrestling musical.
Give us the title of a wrestling musical. What would it be? Sound off in the comment section down below. But if you want to talk about Roman Reigns, feel free to do that as well. But I really want to see what people think with these musicals. Because, hey, it seems like we have one person on this show that has done a wrestling musical. So,
Damn right.
know, hey, the market's out there, brother.
I would love to hear your thoughts.
All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Apologies for the episode coming out later. It goes without saying, as you can tell, we're all over the place, but we try and keep the show up and running for you guys. Join us on Discord as well. Join the conversation. We'll be in there talking about SummerSlam, and also check us out across all the social media stuff. Rebooked Pod is what you're looking for. And if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give us a rate, comment as well. Let us know what you think of the episode, but also what is your wrestling musical title. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, folks. We'll catch you next time. Peace. Later.